Hey everyone, in this video I'll be discussing the creative process behind my project for DTX. Before diving in, I want to clarify that I'll only be covering the second and third topics, as the first and fourth involve footage from other creators, and I want to respect their original work. The second and third topics, however, feature my own work, so let's jump in. Starting with the second topic, which focuses on an animation I created using Keynote. While it may sound unconventional to use Keynote instead of more advanced animation software, I chose it because of its simplicity. If you take a look at the following slides, you can see the animation in action by pressing the play button. Each object has a specific animation applied to it as well. For instance, if we just look right here, the spear outside of the box is assigned to move from its starting position to a new point. I use Keynote's scribble feature to achieve this, which is basically this. Let's see. By selecting the object, double tapping to access the animation options, and drawing a line from point A to point B, the spear follows the path once the play button is pressed. And I'll just show you it. As you can see, that's basically the line. Keynote also offers various animations like dissolve, appear, slide in, and more, allowing for different effects depending on the design goals. So just press this and you can see every single different animation here. Timing and coordination is another key element. Each object has a time signature that determines when its animation occurs. It's shown over here. As you can see, duration, all of that. You can choose on tap, which triggers the animation when tapped. It's right here. With object, where two animations happen simultaneously, or after object, where one animation starts after another finishes, which is basically this one below on tap. You can also adjust the animation speed, making it faster or slower, and even add delays to fine-tune the timing, which is essentially this one right here. If I just change it to 1 second, it will change. Right there, in comparison to 0.30. Now moving on to the development process, my initial concept was much simpler. I originally intended to use a basic orange background and minimalistic objects, as you can see in my digital diary. However, after reconsidering the design principles like color, hierarchy, and contrast, I decided to refine the animation for a more professional look. I added more detailed elements, such as the benches behind the court, which are made up of several objects merged into one. I also experimented with color gradients and used both primary and secondary colors to enhance the spears and create a more dynamic visual experience. So if I just scroll down, as you can see, all the previous designs that I devised. And here's the new one in comparison to the old. You can see the total change and improvement. My goal was to replicate the feel of a real volleyball stadium to make it more familiar to volleyball players, which is essentially why I changed it. Lastly, the functionality of the animation posed some challenges. One issue was with the objects overlapping or not behaving as expected. Keynote's layering feature allows you to adjust whether objects appear in front of or behind others, but this becomes tricky with multiple layers. So for instance, I can make this go in front of one. As you can see, it's now in front of everything else on the screen, and I can make it go behind everything. As you can see, it's now behind the volleyball court itself. Let's just undo that. Yeah. Another issue was objects not triggering their animations as intended. This usually occurred when one object was set to animate before another, causing conflicts. Keynote prioritizes objects based on the order in which animations are applied. So if I animate one spear first and another later, the first animation will play before the most recent one, which isn't always ideal. This required a lot of troubleshooting and fine-tuning to get everything to function as intended. So if I can just get an example. Okay, let's just make a slide. For instance, if I animate this one first, let's just do that, create a pod, like that. And this one next, let's just put this all in. If I play it in, as you can see, the first object that was animated plays before the recent one. Yeah, that's